Hello YouTube, my name's Marie, and today we're going to do a full review of Rich Man, Poor Woman. And also I've heard it just simply called Rich Man, so I think if you typed in either one you'd probably find this series. And this series is about an arrogant CEO. I bet that doesn't sound familiar at all. So original. And he cannot distinguish people's faces. Now this is actually a true real life psychological disorder, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in the review. And our female lead is a hardworking, a little bit naive, very kind. I bet that doesn't sound familiar either. An all-around angel, and she's looking for a job. Now her, character quirk is she's got a photographic memory. Using that memory is what lands her a job under the male lead, the CEO. Now, the underlying plot or the underlying mystery of this romance, because every K-drama romance needs to have a mystery. Our female lead knows the male lead, whereas he doesn't know her, or at least doesn't recognize her, because like I said earlier, he can't recognize faces. So he might have met her, but he wouldn't be able to distinguish her from a crowd. This mystery is what made me interested in the show, because I genuinely wanted to know what was going on, because they do a great job at not giving anything away, so you're left with a lot of questions, a good portion of the series. But then once the mystery is revealed and once you understand the backstory, it loses a lot of steam, because the common, unoriginal, really forgettable characters just become so obvious and quite boring. Now you might be saying, oh, but they're so original, he can't distinguish people's faces and she's got a photographic memory. Well, I'll tell you now that those character quirks, those unique aspects, are severely underutilized. They're very convenient to the plot. Her photographic memory is used, I think, only for the first couple of episodes. It was a plot device to give her a job, and then it's basically forgotten. It's not really talked about at all until the last portion of the series. To me, it felt a very throwaway thing. I think the writers could have thought of something else to give her the job beyond a photographic memory, because it really served no purpose beyond getting her a job. And for our male lead, the being unable to distinguish people's faces, that was more interesting. But because I know a little bit about this disorder already from the schooling that I've done, I thought it was very poorly portrayed. I'm a strong believer that media, if you're going to have an anxious character, this is a great opportunity to educate people. And with Rich Man, Poor Woman, if I didn't already know a little bit about this disorder, and I watched this show, I would still know very little about it at the end of the show. I think the director missed a lot of great opportunities to show scenes from the male lead's perspective. There is one or two scenes where they kind of show what he's seeing in a person's face, but it's just blurred out. It's just as if like there's a fog around their face, and I know that that's not actually the case. It just showed that it wasn't well researched, or like, how can we use this, how can we manipulate this into getting drama and into serving our romantic plotline instead of actually understanding what you're talking about. Now, the secondary characters are extremely unforgettable. Now, our secondary male lead is another plot convenient character. I felt like he was good when he needed to be good and was bad when he needed to be bad, especially in the later half of the series. I feel like they switched him up so much solely to make him no longer a viable love interest for our female lead, because in the beginning half of the series, almost getting second male lead syndrome, where you want to root for the second male lead more than the intended relationship. So I feel like the writers knew that that was happening and they had to make him less likable. So his kind of personality switch was not genuine, in my opinion. The secondary female lead is much more likable, even though she's written to be an unlikable character. But because she's written to be an unlikable character, they give her a lot of flaws. And for me, a flawed character is more real and therefore more relatable and more likable. So usually I will tend to like the villains if they're written well. And her storyline with the male lead was the best portrayal of his facial agnosia. I'll put it on the screen. I thought they did a good job on her end, showing how a psychological disorder like this one can affect the people around you. Oh, I will say that at certain points you can have a good laugh, specifically with the mannerisms of the female lead. The way she runs is so funny to me, and there's another moment where she's like brushing her teeth and trying not to fantasize about certain things, and she just full on slaps herself, like full on slaps herself, and I found it hilarious. So there are some funny moments, but there's not enough of them to make all the other underwhelming aspects of the show worth the watch and your time. So in the end, I do not recommend Rich Man, Poor Woman, because it's a story that we've heard 100 times before with really serviceable acting. There's nothing new or inspired about how these actors portrayed these boring, uninteresting characters. It's overall forgettable. I finished it maybe 3 days ago and I actually forgot that I needed to, or I wanted to do this review because it's so forgettable. It's just like, I'm surprised I even finished it. I'm truly surprised I finished it. So I'd give Rich Man, Poor Woman a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Anyways, have a good day, have a good night, bye.